Hello and welcome to On Track Coaching. Now, last week I spoke about reclaiming your life. And I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who watched the video and a big welcome to all my new subscribers. I really appreciate you giving me your time. So this week, I want to talk about what I think is the cornerstone and the key to reclaiming your life, which is reclaiming your mind. And you're going to be quite surprised when I get to what you are reclaiming your mind from. So it's my guess that most people don't take the time to examine their thoughts and their beliefs. Now, if you are one of those people who have examined their thoughts and beliefs, then congratulations, you are in a vast minority. It's not something that occurs to people to examine their thoughts and beliefs to see if those thoughts and beliefs are actually serving them and what they want in life. Most people just kind of let themselves be carried away by the tides and the ebbs and the flows of their thoughts and their beliefs. Now, for a long time, we've believed that our emotions follow our thinking. And that seems to be quite obvious because if you think bad thoughts, you'll feel bad feelings. And if you think positive thoughts, you'll feel positive feelings. But I've come to the conclusion that it's actually our thinking that follows our emotions. And I'll tell you why. Because try as I may, I cannot consistently think positive thoughts and feel positive feelings. I invariably end up feeling anxious and thinking bad thoughts. So I think that it's a trick of the mind. We actually feel first and then think, not the other way around. Because if you take the time to examine your thinking and your believing, what you'll find is that most, if not all, of your thoughts and your beliefs are based on emotions, and more specifically are based on negative emotions, namely fear. Now, why this is such a problem is because how it impacts your life. It goes like this. You feel an emotion, you think a thought, your thoughts result in your behaviors, and your behaviors give you your outcomes. In a simplistic way of looking at it, your emotions are creating your reality. Now, I know in the realm of the law of attraction, it is believed that reality is created by how we feel, but I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about how our emotions and our thoughts impact us in terms of the behaviors that we produce. So how many of your thoughts and beliefs are based on negative emotions? I would take a wild guess, and I'd probably be right, that most of them. And why? Well, it's because of a quirk of nature. You see, we all have something in us that is called the negativity bias. And that basically means that our unconscious mind is always going to be anticipating and looking out for potential threats. This is a throwback to when we were hunter-gatherers in the jungle, when there could have been a snake or a lion or a tiger in every bush, and we basically had to live in fear of our lives. But that negativity bias isn't as useful today because in today's world, we're a lot safer. We're not being threatened by things like that anymore. So it's not as useful as it used to be. But still, it persists. For some reason, that negativity bias has never really been updated. Now, if you consider that this negativity bias is responsible for most of our emotions and therefore most of our thoughts, and you consider that you think about 70,000 thoughts a day, most of those thoughts are going to be based on negative emotions. But then you also think 90% repetitive thoughts every day. That means that 90% of your thinking is the same thoughts over and over again. And those thoughts are pretty much just you describing the emotions you are feeling about a certain thing. But then if you consider that we spend 97% of our day in a more unconscious state, that means not consciously aware of what we're doing. You're just basically going on automatic. That means that the vast majority of your life is spent feeling anxious about threats and negative things out there that your unconscious mind is looking out for. And as a result of that, most people, if not all people, I think, it just depends how well you've learned to cope with it, live with a mild to moderate feeling of anxiety that's just running in the background. The questions are of, am I going to be okay? If that wasn't bad enough, and I'm sorry if this video is getting you down, I promise you I'm getting to a solution. If that wasn't bad enough, our thinking, our emotions have been hijacked to work against us. You see, back at the end of the First World War, a lot of the soldiers were coming back from the front with something that they called shell shock. We know it today as PTSD. But it was quite severe for these guys, because you can just imagine lying in a trench, listening to bullets whiz over you and bombs going off all around you and just feeling terrified and helpless. Did quite a number on their nervous systems. So when they came back to society, they found themselves unable to function in society. The infamous Tavistock Clinic was given the task of helping these guys deal with their PTSD. And what they discovered, quite by accident, is that these shell-shocked guys were quite easy to manipulate. They were quite compliant. They would do whatever they were told to do. It was easy to manipulate them while they were in this confused, fearful state. And this turned out to be quite valuable information. So what the government of the time did is they asked the Tavistock Clinic if that principle could be used to control the greater population. I mean, what government wouldn't want a compliant and controllable population? It certainly would make their jobs a lot easier, wouldn't it? So what the Tavistock Clinic discovered is that you didn't have to be in such a serious state of shock in order for you to be more compliant and easy to manipulate. It would only require a mild to moderate state of consistent anxiety for people to be more compliant and easy to manipulate. So, what better way would there be to achieve that than through information? The idea of continuous threat. And at the time, that would have been done through newspapers and the radio. And it's only amped up since, because we now have television and we have the internet. Now we skip across the channel to America, where the CIA comes up with Project Mockingbird. You might have heard about it because it's been in the news recently, because it's still going on, much to our surprise. Project Mockingbird is the CIA planting CIA operatives in major news outlets to control, to manipulate, to shape the news cycle in order to get maximum compliance from the population. And remember, how do we get compliance? By keeping people afraid. And then what they did, which in my view is a very clever move, because obviously if you're going to be doing that, you're going to get people saying, no, hang on a second, the facts say something else. So the CIA came up with the term conspiracy theorist. And anybody who spoke out against the narrative was called a conspiracy theorist. And what's worse, the conspiracy theorists were the crackpots, the bad guys, the quacks. And it's still used today for anybody who would question the popular narrative. I'm sure you're aware of it. And so that's why, if you've noticed, because most people have now, that we seem to be moving from one life-threatening, scary situation to another. If it's not a viral outbreak, it's a war. If it's not a war, it's us destroying the planet. If it's not that, it's another viral outbreak. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be an alien invasion of some sort. Anything to keep us afraid and compliant. But remember, it has to be continuous. We have to be kept in this state of fear. But remember, most people are already anxious because of their negativity bias. So what they're doing is they're capitalizing on that negativity bias by putting in their own messaging to make people even more afraid. And guess what? It works. We call it fear porn. It's always fear-based news. If it bleeds, it leads. What I was taught when I was studying journalism is that dog bites man is not news. Man bites dog is news. So find a way to shape the facts so it becomes a bit more dramatic, a bit more enraging, a bit more fearful, a bit more emotional. You see, what they are using are three logical fallacies. The main one is the appeal to emotion, and it has two little siblings, the appeal to authority and the appeal to the masses. You see, emotions are really, really powerful things. You know what I'm talking about. You know logically that you shouldn't have that second piece of chocolate cake, but you feel like you really need it, like you know, it's the key to your happiness, and you really feel like you want it. Guess what happens? You end up eating the chocolate cake. You see, if it feels right, you'll believe it. To hell with the facts. I've noticed this on online debates where people will argue emotions and just completely disregard the facts. In fact, you can logically lay out the facts for them and they will just nah the facts and go with, well, this is how it feels, therefore this is the truth. I'm sure you've noticed that. And the scary thing about feelings is that you can't use logic to get someone out of a position they have felt their way into. Feelings will win every single time. This appeal to emotion has crept into absolutely everything. It dictates what you eat. It dictates what you watch online. It dictates the programs you enjoy. It dictates the coping mechanisms you use. It dictates the clothes you wear. It dictates how you behave in your relationships. It has crept in everywhere, and the powers that be know how to use it for maximum results. How does it work in reality? Well, remember, the appeal to emotion as it's being used is being used with the appeal to the masses and appeal to authority. And it goes something like this. Well, we are the government. We know what's best for you. Appeal to authority. We know what's best for you. And you know what? All the good people do what we tell them to do. And all the bad people don't do what we tell them to do. So, if you want to be one of the good people who does what is right, then do this. But you don't want to be one of the bad people who doesn't do what we want them to do. And it works because, let me tell you, nobody wants to be one of the bad guys. We want to be one of the good guys doing what is right. But nobody ever stops to ask if what the government wants you to do is what's best for you. No, it's what's best for them. And what happens is that you end up doing what is best for other people. In this case, it's the powers that be, it's the marketing firms, it's the corporations, and never what's really best for you. And every time you make an emotionally based decision, you give away some of your power. These emotionally based decisions are very rarely decisions that move us towards what we want. They're decisions that move us away from what we don't want. But the other problem is that we're basically told by other people what it is that we don't want and what it is that we should want. So we spend our time reacting emotionally and basing our thinking on those emotions, and then making decisions that really don't have our own best interests at heart. So what is the solution to all of this? Well, the solution is going to be simple, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy because of what you are reclaiming your mind from. You're not reclaiming your mind from something that's out there. You're reclaiming your mind from your own emotions. You see, it's not your thinking that's necessarily the problem, but what you are basing your thinking on. Currently, you are basing your thinking on your emotions, and your emotions are being manipulated by people out there. That's true. Your negativity bias is being taken advantage of by people out there. But it's not the people out there that's the problem. It's your emotions that are the problem, because you're basing your thinking on your emotions. So what do you do? Now, getting off social media is a no-brainer. You know, X, Facebook, even Instagram, maybe even YouTube, because you are being fed a carefully curated, steady diet of information designed to take advantage of your negativity bias. You know, outrage, fear, insecurity, powerlessness. Now, what you're going to do on your own is going to be the most powerful thing. It's called practicing the pause. PAUSE is an acronym for Prevent Action Until Serenity Ensues. And it basically means that you're going to stop, allow the emotion to dissipate, and then when you're feeling more calm, make a decision. That doesn't come naturally to us. And the thing is that if you are feeling negative emotions like fear or anxiety, it's very difficult to see clearly or think straight. But the good thing about emotions, which a lot of people don't realize, is that they have a start, they have a peak, and then they will drop off. In other words, they have a limited shelf life. So if you stop, allow yourself to feel those emotions, then allow them to dissipate on their own, and then act. Or better yet, stop, allow the emotions to dissipate, and then look for the objective facts about the situation. Make your decision based on the objective facts and not on your emotions. You see, we've learned to become very reactive in today's modern world. We get outrage, we react. We're not reacting to what's going on out there, we're reacting to our own sense of outrage. It's just the meaning we're giving to the information. But if you can stop, take some time out, allow the emotions to dissipate, and then look at the facts objectively, we can make a clear-headed decision or think clear-headed thoughts. The best tool you can use to help you in this is going to be meditation, and specifically mindfulness meditation. And I know meditation scares a lot of people, because who can really sit for 30 minutes and basically do nothing? The brain hates to do nothing. I'm just talking about taking a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and just sitting with your own emotions, just welcoming how you feel. Allow yourself to feel them. It's been proven in science that if you sit and allow in a state of equanimity those emotions to exist, they will dissipate and eventually they will calm down and quieten down. And then look for the objective facts. Look for the truth about a situation. Instead of making your decisions and thinking based on your emotions, you make them based on the objective facts. It's a much slower process and it takes a bit more time, but it's the only way that you can start reclaiming your mind, because you're no longer putting the cart before the horse. You're no longer serving your emotions. You're allowing your emotions to serve you instead. What this way of thinking will allow you to do, it will allow you to not make knee-jerk decisions based on fear that are good for everybody else but not you, and it will allow you to make decisions that are more aligned with your own needs and what you want in life. Say you want to buy a new car. You feel compelled to spend so much money on a certain car. But then if you just allow that emotion to dissipate and do some research and listen to what other people's experiences are, you find out that you might not need to spend so much money, that car is not right for you, and you can make a better informed decision that is better for you. But it requires you to slow down, let go of the emotions, and make a clearer, more rational decision based on objective facts and not the fear that's being drummed up. Now, unfortunately, there aren't any shortcuts for this. It's just going to take practice. I would perhaps write this process down and give yourself grace, because you're going to get it right sometimes and sometimes you're not going to get it right. But with practice and with time, it's going to get easier and easier and easier to practice the pause. Now, here's a little hack that's going to help you. If somebody wants you to make a decision right now, and you have to make a decision right now, especially when it's based on some idea of scarcity, here's what you do. You say, if you want an answer right now, the answer is definitely no. But if you're prepared to give me the time I need to make an informed decision, the answer might be yes. And then if they press you for an answer, you just go, sorry, it's going to be a no. Those are the rules. And then you don't have to feel bad about saying no, because you've told them what the conditions are. If they are genuine, they'll give you the time you need to make an informed decision. If they're not so genuine and they're hiding something from you, then they're going to insist on you making a decision now. Try it. It's actually quite a wonderful tool. So that's it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If it's helped you, if it's inspired you, if it's challenged you, then let me know in the comments below and leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with other people that you think it might help. And if you need help with your emotions, processing them, understanding them, even releasing your emotional baggage, I have a wonderful, effective technique called time paradigm techniques, which works with your unconscious mind to release your emotional baggage. You can find out more about it in my website at www.ontrackcoach.co.za. I'll leave the link below. I can do coaching in person or online. Go check it out, see how I can help you, and send me a message. I'd love to help you. Next week's video is going to be about reclaiming your health, and I've got a very cool and interesting way about looking at your own health, which I know is going to help you. So tune in next week for that video. Hope you have a great rest of the week. Have a fantastic day, and remember, keep the shiny side up.